time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning, this is City Beat. I'm Matthew Higgs, and joining me in studio, as always, Mayor Dennis Fenske.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in. If you have a question you'd like to ask, give us a call at 677-8181. Before this show is the last one for 2016, so we're going to look back at the year and look forward to the next year. But before we get into that, I'd like to talk about water main breaks, because there was a big one impacting one of our people in the room here. There was a few notable ones around the city. First, how long does it take to sometimes fix these things, and what should people do when there is one on their street?
Well, first off, if you do notice water on the street, you should call into City Hall at 677-7920 to report the potential water break. In this case, this wasn't a service line, like a normal service line that goes from the main to the house. This was an actual main that burst, and the initial break started on the Wednesday the week before, and they had fixed and repaired that main break on the Friday evening, and then Saturday the same line burst further down the line, and so there was basically a flood on the streets on Saturday, and Sunday they were trying to control it and to get back to Monday morning to fix it. Again, it was completed by, I think, Tuesday, and then since then they've been cleaning up the ice. So this was a major water break, happened twice in the same area, so lots of inconvenience for those residents in the immediate area. Appreciate their patience with the staff, and also to remember all of this happened while it was minus 40 degrees, so kudos to the staff who responded and had to work in those conditions.
If there's like a lake outside, should you be driving through it?
No, do not drive through water, especially in the wintertime. It can cause damage to your vehicle. You don't know what's underneath the water, so avoid, find another route. Don't go drive into water, and even in the summertime when there's a water break, don't go through the water. You don't know what's underneath, so just common sense prevails. Avoid the water and find an alternate route.
And because it's holiday season as well, there's going to be different hours for stuff of the city open. What are the city office hours during the holiday season?
Well, basically we're closed for the stat holidays. So Christmas falls on Christmas and Boxing Day fall on the weekend. So we're closed Monday and Tuesday, the 27th and 28th at City Hall, as well as the Norplex Pool will be on Christmas hours. You can go to the Thompson.ca website for all of the hours for the facilities and consult those. But basically we're closed for the stat days with some alternative hours for the VRCC and the Thompson and the Norplex Pool.
Okay, well, let's look back at the year that was. We mentioned last week that you said your favorite council meeting of the whole year was one where the city established the NCN, was given an urban reserve after years of negotiating. What are some other highlights you had from 2016? Well,
I think most recently we just had the signing for the transfer of the ownership of the water treatment plant from LA to the city of Thompson. That was an ongoing process for the last couple of years, and culminated with the signing last week, or this week of that agreement. So we'll move forward with the transfer of that asset. Other than that, again, as previously mentioned, the finalizing the urban reserve status for NCN properties located at the Mystery Lake lands was a big step in securing investment in our community by the Nelson House First Nation. So we'll look forward to future considerations of that, as well as basically working through the upcoming transition of the Valley moving from a fully integrated mine operation to a mine mill operation. So that there's been lots of work behind the scenes, and we'll move forward into 17. That'll be the focus coming forward, as well as focusing in 2017. The grant in lieu that Valley pays will be up for negotiation. It expires at the end of 2017, so we'll be looking at sitting down with Valley in the next second and third quarter of 2017 to get that grant in lieu in place for upcoming years.
And 2016 was a tough year for Northern Manitoba with what happened in Churchill and the PAW with companies closing or leaving. Now we have a new company back in the PAW again. But what do you see for the future of Northern Manitoba, especially starting this year?
Well, I think that, as you said, it's been the perfect storm for a lot of economics in the north, and so thankfully Canadian Craft stepped up in Toko to take over or in the PA to take over the Toko operations. In Churchill, not so much resolving the Omnitrax ownership of the port and the Bay Line, but there was substantial funds made available by the federal government, $4.6 million, to assist in mediating the impacts of the closure of the port and the loss of the grain season and the reduced schedule on the Bay Line. So for the city of Thompson, as I said, we've got the upcoming closure of the smelter and refinery. We're working on mitigation plans and have been for a while in regards to reducing that impact. Basically, from the city of Thompson's perspective, we are a service hub in the north for a trading area of about 65,000 people. We want to grow that service sector in regards to healthcare, in regards to education, transportation, government services, and industry and business as well. So we'll be moving that forward as well. We're looking forward to some investments next year. We've got the 55 plus Lions Manor breaking ground hopefully in the spring. We've got the new liquor store being built in the spring as well on the City Centre Mall property. We've got Subway relocating, so we've got a building going up on the corner of Riverside and Thompson Drive. So we've got some expansions going on. So we're cautiously optimistic in the impacts. There will be an impact, but we'll have to go through the process to see what the actual bottom line impacts on everybody.
We got a question from the phone line. The question is, we talked about the water treatment plant before. He says, or she says, why are taxpayers paying for the transfer for the water treatment plant and not businesses? So why are taxpayers paying and not businesses?
Well, I'm not sure the question in regards to the paying. What's outstanding? The transfer of the asset is coming from Vale to the City of Thompson. The asset is valued at around $24 million. And there is a tax, a land transfer tax, and a PST tax applicable at this point. We're negotiating with the province of Manitoba in regards to hopefully zeroing out that cost. If not, that cost would be recovered by the ratepayers, all of the ratepayers in Thompson who are on the system. There's about 4,000 ratepayers on the water system. So in regards to the businesses, it includes businesses and residential. We all use water, potable water, so the cost of the operations will be covered under the utility and will be covered through the utility rates that we've applied for to the Public Utilities Board. So all ratepayers will absorb the operating costs of the water treatment plant.
Back to the year in review, or a year forward now. I was going to say, and you mentioned a little bit of this, what can we expect in the year 2017 for the City of Thompson? Well,
2017, it's a big decision year in the sense of finalizing the borrowing bylaw for the wastewater treatment plant. Our share is $12.1 million. And so we've had our first public hearing. We've sent that off to the municipal board for review, and hopefully we can get that passed so that we can go to tender early in the spring for that work. That would take probably 18 to 24 months to construct the facility. So that's huge for 2017, 2018. We also have the grant in lieu, as I mentioned previously, the negotiations of the grant in lieu to extend the contribution by Vale. And that expires, as I said, at the end of 2017, so we'll be looking for an agreement for multi-years moving on beyond that. So from that perspective, lots of things up in the air right now that have been started in previous years that will continue through 17 and 18. There'll be constant adjustments in regards to the impact once we start to realize what the actual impacts are, as opposed to what we think they might be. And so the other thing that comes out that's big for us is on February 8th, the 2016 census numbers are announced. And so currently our population is 13,123. We don't want to see a drop in that because that costs us money in grant transfers, transfer payments from the province and the feds. So we want to see at least 13,123 in that number.
Do you have any goals for the city for the new year?
Goals, I think basically it's to stay focused on the big issues. We tend sometimes to fall into the minor works and the minor details. We should let staff and administration take care of that. Council should focus on the bigger issues, of which I've mentioned, the transfer of the water treatment plant, the construction of the wastewater treatment plant, the negotiation of the grant in lieu. And so those are the things that council should be concentrating on for the next year.
And just one, I guess, bigger issue, and it's not affects Thompson at all, but you're a former hockey player, and the OCN. Why are you laughing? You are. The OCN Blizzard announced they'll cease operations, and I was just going to ask you, what do you think about the hockey in northern Manitoba? How much do you think it's been affected over the past few years?
Well, I think having been around for a lot of years and involved in hockey, as you said, hockey in northern Manitoba has always been difficult mostly because of the travel. When you look at the AAA Norman North Stars, and kudos to the club and the organization for the many years that they put in volunteer-wise and player development-wise, but compared to what the southern teams are faced with on an operational basis, Thompson, OCN, Flin Flon are faced with much higher operating costs, and it's a kudos to all the volunteers that are involved in all three organizations, OCN and Flin Flon Bombers and the Norman North Stars, for operating high level hockey for the kids in the north. But it has always been an uphill struggle. It goes back to the dates, and I'm dating myself. The Thompson Hawks used to be a senior hockey team here. We're always traveling to Kenora or War Road or St. Boniface in Winnipeg, and the operating costs were always phenomenally more than the southern teams that are either within the city or within an hour or 2 hours from each other. So they don't have hotel costs having to stay overnight. They don't have big travel costs. They could travel in individual vehicles if they wanted to get to and from. Here we're talking bus costs, we're talking time off from work for the volunteers. So it's an extreme uphill battle for anyone who's operating those types of operations in the north. But kudos to OCN for being in the league for 21 years, and for the Norman North Stars for being around as long as they have, and also the Flin Flon Bombers.
And it's Christmas time. Do you want to say any words to the public?
Well, two things. One, from a safety share perspective, I know a lot of people are traveling out of town this week in the next couple of days for Christmas. So make sure that your vehicle is up to snuff in regards to having a safety kit on board, that operationally your tires are in good shape and you've had your oil change and things like that, that you have safety clothing and safety supplies just in case of a breakdown. It's a long way south or wherever your travels are taking you, so please travel safe. And other than that, I just want to wish all the residents of Thompson and the surrounding region a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and a festive, happy holiday season for everyone involved. Be safe, be wise, enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you in the new year.
And Mayor, what do you want for Christmas?
Me, I just like to continue to see the Flyers beat the Leafs.
You know, we were talking beforehand. We were saying, I wonder if the mayor is going to bash me before he leaves. And you know what? That's exactly the case.
Could always wish for Christmas.
A weekly tradition of this City Beat here. And that's it. That's it for this edition of City Beat. Make sure to join us every Thursday, except not next Thursday. That's not going to be on next Thursday, so don't yell at us. It's at 11:30 to find out what's happening around the city and City Hall for 1029 CHTM. I'm Matthew Higgs.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at